What a mess. What a day on a loser. Just kidding. Well, I'm back. The next level of craziness has now been met. I don't know how it's possible that I can keep coming on here and every time there's something new that I am in shock from. It's crazy how much more can possibly happen. But BJ's latest performance was quite entertaining. Is there like a pathological liar community that we can ship her off to where they all lie to each other and fight amongst each other over those lies? Because that would be perfect if we had that. So, where to start? I guess I'll start with some things that I have researched and looked up because y'all know I like to come on here and give some factual information about things that I've learned because I like to know what I'm talking about before I come on here. And I hope that it helps a little bit for people to understand things better and kind of understand why things are being done the way they are. However, I am not a legal expert. I have no law experience. And this is not legal advice. This is just a person that has Googled lots of different legal sites, legal articles, statutes from North Carolina, that sort of thing. That's all this is, okay? And I do appreciate Cletus's stream the other day where he talked about the no contact order and the things that were involved in it and how it played out. I really appreciated that, and it was good information. So if you haven't seen that, you should go check that out on Cletus's channel. So I find these no contact orders really interesting because in the state I live, we don't have those. Where I live, you have to have some sort of personal relationship with someone to get a restraining order on them. So if you don't have a relationship with them and they are stalking or whatever, you have to just go to the DA and submit a complaint and hope that the DA picks it up and pursues it. Other than that, you can't do anything. So I thought it was really interesting to learn about these. And because one of the requirements is actually that you don't have a personal relationship with the person. So the Form 50C serves two different types of no contact orders. One is victims of sexual assault, and the other is victims of stalking who do not have a personal relationship with the offender. And the no contact order actually gives less protection than a domestic violence protective order because law enforcement has less ability to enforce it, which I also found really interesting. In order to file one, you must not have been in a personal relationship with the offender, and you must have been a victim of unlawful conduct. So North Carolina defines a personal relationship as a spouse or former spouse, persons of the opposite sex who live together or were living together. And I found this interesting because same-sex marriage is recognized in North Carolina, yet in the statute, what's listed here says opposite sex on these. So I found that strange, but are related as parents or children, are current or former household members, have a child in common, or are persons of the opposite sex who are in or have been in a dating relationship. And then in addition to not having a personal relationship with the offender, he must have been a victim of unlawful conduct. North Carolina defines unlawful conduct as 1, the commission of one or more of the following acts by a person 16 years old or older upon a person, but doesn't include acts of self-defense or the defense of others. The acts included in this are non-consensual sexual conduct, even if there is only one incident, or number 2, stalking, defined as on more than one occasion, following or otherwise harassing another person without legal purpose, with the intent to either place the person in reasonable fear, either for the person's safety or their immediate family safety, or cause that person substantial emotional distress by placing that person in fear of death, bodily injury, or continued harassment that would in fact cause that person substantial emotional distress. So the General Assembly of North Carolina defines substantial emotional distress as significant mental suffering or distress that doesn't necessarily require treatment. Changes in a victim's lifestyle or daily habits can be evidence of substantial emotional distress. So when we look at that and think about it, and I mentioned this on the last one, so we are pretty confident that BJ isn't seeking any medical or psychological treatment for what's happening here on YouTube. And her daily habits haven't changed because she's still streaming many times a day. You know, things are still functioning at her house. She talks about how she's going out, how she's doing things with her kids, Halloween projects, all of this stuff. So nothing has affected that. So I don't know how she is going to claim any type of substantial emotional distress because it hasn't affected any of that. So, and that is something that is required in stalking. All the necessary forms are available online to fill out and submit electronically. 1 year is the longest term for a no contact order, but it can be renewed. But you do have to petition the court and go back in front of them to get a judge to approve it. And the process is you go in or online, fill out the forms requesting the no contact order. You have complaint form AOC CV 520, which is the complaint form. And there's a second form, AOC CV 521, and there's the AOC G 250, which is the Service Members Relief Act, which Cletus talked a little about. BJ filling that out regarding him and filling it out as if she knew his past and what he had done, which was odd. Then you will file those at the county courthouse, and that can be in person or it can be electronically. Now, if you are in immediate danger, the judge may issue a temporary no contact order that is effective for up to 10 days. The next step is the sheriff's office will serve notice to the alleged offender, and they are giving 10 days to respond or appear at a scheduled court hearing. And that deadline is important, 10 days, okay? And then 5, there's a formal hearing to determine whether to issue the no contact order, during which the offender has the opportunity to respond. If granted, it stays in effect for 1 year. If the offender fails to show up for this hearing, the judge rules in the victim's favor by default. So an ex parte no contact order may be granted without evidence of service of process if both of the following are shown. Number 1, it clearly appears from specific facts shown by a verified complaint or affidavit that immediate injury, loss, or damage will result to the victim before the respondent can be heard in opposition. 2, either one of the following. A, the complainant certifies to the court the efforts, if any, that have been made to give notice and reasons supporting the claim that notice should not be required. B, the complainant certified to the court that there is good cause to grant the remedy because the harm that the remedy is intended to prevent would likely occur if the respondent were given any prior notice of the complainant's efforts to obtain judicial relief. So basically saying that if someone feels that the offender is going to be triggered by being served with this and harm will come to them, that they can apply for the ex parte order. And that's basically what BJ put on her paperwork, which incorrectly because she addressed Cletus as a female on his paperwork, but that's the one where she said, she knows where I live and I feel that it will put me in danger, that this order will put me in danger, basically. So that's what she was basically trying to say, is that when they get served with this, it was going to put her in more danger, which in my opinion is BS because there was never threats of physical harm from Clue or Cletus, and there is just no way that being served the no contact order summons was going to make them do something. It's ridiculous to me. I don't understand. So every ex parte granted without notice shall be endorsed with the date and hour of issuance, be filed immediately in the clerk's office and entered of record. Will define the injury, state why it is irreparable and why the order was granted without notice, and expire by its terms not to exceed 10 days, and give notice of the date of hearing on the temporary order. So if the respondent appears in court for a hearing on ex parte, the respondent may elect to file a general appearance and testify. Any resulting order may be a temporary order or a permanent order. So this sounds like if she had filled that out to do ex parte, it would have had to have all of those components to it, and then it goes before a judge, and the judge decides whether ex parte is granted or not. So when BJ told us that she was supposed to come back before a judge on the 3rd, I assumed that that was for the ex parte part of it, and she did not have enough information for the judge to grant that. And so the October 3rd hearing that BJ tells us about that she had to come back for and went before the judge, and the judge called her to the stand, as she said. And BJ tells it as the judge said that her order for Clue was good, but the one for Cletus needed more information, more specific threats, which she didn't have on it. So that kind of makes no sense, though, because if everything on Clues was good, that would have meant granting an ex parte order. if everything on there was correct and good and fit the criteria, because they're not a package deal. Like, you don't have to have both of them to get an ex parte order. So that didn't make sense, along with a lot of other things that she said. And she also, as she was telling the story, wanted to call them out by their first names, which they do not go by on YouTube. Do people on YouTube know their first names? A lot do, yes. And Brittany's comeback to that was, well, I'm not doxing anybody. My name is being thrown around, my real name, so I'm going to use their real name. Hey, your full name scrolls across your screen every time you go live, BJ. Your whole name. Theirs does not. So it's not equal at all. It's not cool. It's a passive aggressive bullshit that you do. But no, it's not the same. You are doing that just to be an asshole, just to dig at them. And okay, so I'm going to talk now about stalking and the definition of stalking in North Carolina. So, stalking involves severe intrusions on the victim's personal privacy and autonomy. It's a crime that causes a long lasting impact on the victim's quality of life and creates risks to the security and safety of the victim and others, even in the absence of express threats of physical harm. Stalking conduct often becomes increasingly violent over time. The General Assembly recognizes that stalking includes, but is not limited to, a pattern of following, observing, or monitoring the victim or committing violent acts against the victim. And then it talks again about substantial emotional distress, which I've already talked about. We do not see her showing any signs of that, as she's still going live multiple times a day, falling asleep during the lives. She talks about doing things with her kids, all of that stuff, so on and so forth. Now, BJ decided after this last hearing to throw out aggravated stalking, to accuse Clue and Cletus of aggravated stalking. So you might want to look things up before you start just throwing shit around, because that's a very serious accusation to make. Aggravated stalking is a criminal charge, and let me tell you what it is. Aggravated stalking involves stalking someone with a deadly weapon, with a prior conviction of stalking, or someone that is an RSO, and it is a felony charge. So it's a very serious criminal charge to be throwing around. And she didn't state it as my opinion, or I think this is, or whatever. She flat out said, this is aggravated stalking. Sounds great. Yeah, real scary, pumps your crowd up. You might call it incitement under BJ's definition of incitement, because you're saying that they're not just stalking, they're aggravated stalking, which is a serious thing. You might want to find out what you're saying before you say it so casually. Just a suggestion. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about the streams that BJ did after the hearing where the no contact orders were denied. So the first one she did, she named Clarity. And she comes on and explains how this wasn't her fault. Everything was against her. It was a big mess up by her town, and all of this. The normal BJ is not in the wrong ever. Things were against her, blah, blah. So she tells the story of how things happen. So she says on the 2nd, she went and filled out the forms. And she says that it was later in the day, so she was kind of rushed through, so she didn't have a lot of detail on there. And she was told to come back on the 3rd to appear before the judge. Like I had said in my last one, she wanted to do that, in my opinion, because she didn't want the judge to hear Clue and Cletus's side of things, because they have a lot of evidence of her BS behavior. But anyway, so she comes back on the 3rd and goes before the judge. She says the judge calls her to the stand. She then says that the judge, I guess this is just a very helpful, overly friendly judge that I just can't imagine, is going to help her with legal advice, and tells her that it would be better if she had her attorney modify this document. So the judge told her she should have her attorney look it over and see if it's okay, or if he wants to modify it. So just an extremely helpful judge. I don't really think that they're supposed to give out legal advice like having that you need an attorney, or that they would have an attorney look over it and modify it. I just, I don't know. But so BJ says, okay, I'll do that. I will contact my attorney, have him look at it, and then I'll come back one day next week and file the forms then. So I guess, this was just an open-ended thing that she could come back whenever she wanted, even though the orders have been entered and there is a 10-day deadline on them, that it doesn't matter. She can just come back anytime the next week and turn those in, right? So she says that as soon as she left the courthouse, she called her attorney And he said, oh, yeah, that's fine. He would take care of it. But he was out of town that weekend, so he couldn't do it over the weekend because apparently this flat rate attorney will work on the weekend. He works any time of the day, takes unlimited amount of phone calls and emails and paperwork, and it's still a flat rate, right? Wish I could find one like that. And he had a court hearing Monday, so he would modify it on Tuesday. He would call her, they would go over it, and then if she was okay with it, she would take it to the courthouse on Wednesday to file it. So then she says Monday came, and the next thing she knows, Cliv and Cletus are going live talking about Cletus being served. And she's shocked by this. And she said she hadn't said anything about it because, they had court and stuff like that. However, she's also telling us that she hadn't even actually filed the papers yet because she was waiting for her attorney to modify them. And then she was going to turn it in. So she's like, we have court, so I wasn't talking about it, but she hasn't filed yet because she's waiting for her attorney. And she had no idea that there was a hearing on Monday. Okay. It's pick a story. What do you want to believe with her? And also, there was multiple streams done over the weekend that did a lot of poking at Clue and Cletus. You have to wonder if that was intentional to try to get some type of threat or something out of them to take to the court the next week, because that's just how BJ operates. She likes to poke to get responses. As she has said, she owns people. She can make them respond any way she wants, right? So she insists that she did not miss her court date on Monday. She did not know there was a court date. She said she wasn't giving any documentation saying she had to be back on Monday. And she said, I didn't miss the date. My attorney did nothing wrong. And I do have an attorney, and he is working on this. But I did not know that there was a court date on the 6th. They didn't tell me. So I didn't miss anything. That's a lie. That's what she's telling us. Even though Cletus has the case details, and it clearly says that she missed the court hearing on the 6th, right? So she says she goes into court, and that the time was not 9:30. The hearing was supposed to be at 9:30. She says, I was there on time. When I was going through the metal detector, I look at my phone and it was 9:28. Listen, I know that BJ is chronically late to everything, but this is court. Like, court is serious. Judges are serious. You don't waste their time. They get very angry if you waste their time. They will not wait on you. So I understand she's saying that she had to take a phone back out to the car and that's why she was late. You should be there an hour to 30 minutes early if you have a court hearing. You just should. Because you don't want to piss the judge off, period. You just don't. So if she had gotten there early, she wouldn't have had a problem because she could have taken this phone back out and been back in the building and there on time. That is just adult logic. You don't want to piss off this person. And the court is professional. It is a big deal. You should take it seriously. It's not to be played with. So she says that they had told her she could bring her proof in on a smartphone. And then she said, well, it could be a burner phone, but not my personal cell phone. So she took another phone with her evidence on it. When she comes to the metal detector, she says the jailer, it's not a jailer, says, you can come in, but you've got to take your phone back outside. So she then tells everybody to hold on. She comes back and starts telling the story, and the tears start. Okay. She starts saying again that she didn't even get any papers telling her about this court date. She found out about it from Clue and Cletus being online talking about it, and then she looked up the court website to find it. But she's saying she had no paperwork that said anything about when this court date was. They didn't send her anything. They didn't notify her, which I think that it's on her paperwork whenever she files it, when the court dates are. And if it's not, you should be checking because you are an adult and that's what you do. There is a time period that these cases are seen in from the file date. So if you filed on the 2nd, you can expect that there is going to be a hearing within the next 10 days. After all, you're in fear for your life, right? You're trying to get this no contact order because you're in fear for your life. So it only makes sense that things are going to move along. And if they didn't tell you a court date, you're calling up there or you're checking the website to see when a court date is, okay? And again, just another thing as an adult that you think about and know. So, at this point, she's crying. She's saying, I'm telling y'all this for my subs. It's not, I know I'm feeding the trolls, but this is for my subs because I care about y'all and how you feel. And I want you to know the truth. I didn't miss a court date on the 6th. I wasn't 30 minutes late. I was inside the courthouse at 9:28. I was told I could take a flash drive or a burner phone with my evidence. But when I got there at 9:28, they told me I had to take the phone to the car. And she's like, all this has ever been about is for me to get peace. I just wanted my peace. And that's what this was about. Well, a no contact order is about being in fear for your life, not having peace. Like, I'm not sure what exactly she thought was going to happen if she got this no contact order, but this wasn't just about peace, and this is never going to stop. Every time I try to get it to stop, it gets worse and it's going to keep getting worse. Yeah, it's getting worse because you're trying to take people to court. Yes, you're going the ultimate real life on people. That it's not going to make things better for you. I'm just telling you. And I don't know what kind of peace you thought you were ready to get from a no contact order, but it was never going to be something that was going to make a whole community stop reviewing and critiquing your streams. It just makes no sense to me. I cannot wrap my head around what she was thinking. So, and then of course she adds in there, I'm telling you all this because I don't want to talk about it after this. I'm done with it after this. Okay. That didn't last. We all know. So she says, after I took my phone to the car, I came in and I sat down for an hour and 15 minutes. Now, I have to wonder, okay, so 9:28, she has to walk out, take this phone back to her car. This is a small town. I can't imagine that the parking lot is that big. How long did it take her to walk this to her car, throw it in there? I mean, you think you'd be in a hurry because you know your time is coming up and you're just trying to throw it in there and get back inside. So you'd think she would be rushed to get back in there. So the case comes up and it sounded like the attorneys were both kind of talking and having, a little bit of back and forth over who was going to speak or whatever. And then once she said that it was denied, they wanted it to be without or with prejudice. So that was argued a little bit. So and I'm sure that it didn't start right at 9:30 because, there's usually other cases that are going before you, whatever. So I'm like, how long did it actually take her to take this phone out, throw it in the car, come back in? So I do believe that she was probably 30 minutes to an hour late because it wouldn't have taken that long. She would have been back in the courtroom and realized that they're talking about her case that was at 9:30, when she got back in there. So she had to have been a pretty good amount of time late. So I'm not buying the whole 9:28 thing. I'm just not. And that's my opinion. I'm allowed to have that. So anyway, she says after she took the phone to the car, she came in and sat down and she was there for an hour and 15 minutes. And they were finishing up the day and all the cases were done. And BJ says she raises her hand and is like, um, my case wasn't heard. And so they're like, well, what is your name? And she tells them. And she says that Cleveland Cletus's attorney was in there and that he was incredibly hateful to her and was talking over the judge. And she just couldn't believe how horrible this person was. And they said that the case had been dismissed and that the attorney then started saying there was a lack of evidence and it was with prejudice and that he was just so horrible to her and she couldn't believe it. Well, I got news for her. That's an attorney for you, okay? That's a defense attorney for you. And if you think that's bad, I think Pennsylvania is going to be interesting because from what I've heard of Granny's attorney, he's pretty aggressive. So she's probably not going to like him too much. It should get interesting. I wish I could be there to see that. But anyway, so yeah, she raises her hand and says, well, I didn't get to present my evidence. And she told the judge that she had evidence, but she had to take it to the car because she couldn't bring the phone in. So, she's like, I do have an attorney. Every dime I've collected has gone to my attorney. This was just short notice. So he wasn't able to modify it or be there. Well, that doesn't make any sense to me because you would think if you have an attorney, you're filing some type of legal action against people that you sent a C&D to. You would think that your attorney would assist you in filling those out, that y'all would be communicating. You would file this at a time where he is going to be available because there's a deadline with these filings. So you knew there was going to be a hearing within that time frame. So how is this short notice for your attorney when you are filing it? Makes no sense. Also, she said that their plan was he was going to modify it on that Tuesday, which would have been the 7th. And then she was going to come in on Wednesday and file it. So what happened to that? Did she Did he modify it? Did she try to bring it back up there on Wednesday and find out, oh, there's a court date the following Monday, and then told her attorney about it? Like, what happened? Because to the court, she was pro se. There was nobody representing her. It doesn't make sense to say that they were expecting a continuance because he wasn't even on file for her. And like I said, what happened to modifying it and turning it in on Wednesday the 8th? So like, I just don't, there's things that definitely don't make sense there. And BJ lies constantly, so I can't believe anything. But then she's like, I just want y'all to know, if anybody is telling you that this had anything to do with freedom of speech, it did not. This was a mere technicality because I had to take that phone to my car and I missed roll call. Well, no. I mean, yeah, that may have been part of it, but it was dismissed with prejudice. So something was shown or said that made that judge say, you cannot refile this. Something about it was a red flag to this judge, enough for her to rule with prejudice. So it wasn't just that she wasn't in there at the time. And so whenever someone in her chat says, well, with prejudice means you can't file again, and she's like, oh, no, I can file again, just not with the same claims. And then again, she's talking about she wasn't an hour late. And for some reason, she got super upset when someone came into her chat and said that she was an hour late. Like, she started sobbing again and was like, I can't do this. And get them out of my chat. You're lying on me. Well, I think that's because this was a truth that hit her, because whenever she is caught in a lie or backed into a corner, she gets very defensive and cries. So I think, like I said before, she had to have not been there for a good amount of time for her case to be heard, and she wasn't there for any of it. And all she was doing was taking a phone out to the car. So I believe she probably was an hour late and she was getting called out for it directly. And that's why she started crying again and got so defensive, in my opinion. Well, then she makes this really weird statement that she wasn't that late because there were still attorneys filing into the courthouse whenever she entered. I guess she doesn't realize that court is all day long and there's multiple courtrooms running at the same time and attorneys come and go all day. Like, just because you entered with an attorney doesn't mean you were on time for the day. I hate to tell you. It's not like everybody clocks in at one time and is there for the rest of the day at the courthouse. And she's upset and saying, I only blame my town. They put me at risk. They have put my family at risk. And this was on them. They dropped the ball. The only person that I hear repeatedly talking about BJ and her family being at risk, or BJ and her family getting hurt, or there being any danger to them, is from BJ's mouth. It's the only time I hear it. BJ has created the danger that she is in, and that's it. And it's an illusion of danger. It's not even real danger. There is no threat to her other than these agencies, which I don't agree with. And hopefully people are done with that because they've been there. We need to just be done with that. But as far as like physical safety, I do not for one second believe they are at risk of anything. No matter how many times she says it and pushes it, I don't believe it. So people are asking, about her attorney and saying, well, like, you paid him $8,000. I would be upset over this. I would be asking him, what is he doing? Why wasn't he there? You paid him a lot of money and he wasn't there to help you. And so she's like, well, no, we were hit out of the blue. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't have time to call the court and modify the order. And again, I say, why not? Because the plan was for the 7th, he was going to modify the order, get with DJ, and she was going to come and file it on the 8th. So why did he suddenly not have time to have modified it? He had plenty of time. He had a whole week there from the 6th, to that Friday to, number one, add himself to representing her. Number two, put in a motion for a continuance if he needed it. And 3, to modify anything on the forms that needed to be done and resubmit it. Why did he suddenly not have time to do that? I don't understand. And again, if you are filing this, there's a 10-day deadline. So it didn't just hit her out of the blue. Like, what? Oh, gosh. And again, she's like, I got no documentation to let me know there was a court date. And she talks about, everybody is acting like this is entertainment. They're talking about winning and losing, and this is my real life. This is my family's safety. It's not a basketball game. Well, look, YouTube is an entertainment platform. People come here for entertainment. Most of us came here for entertainment, for true crime, for escaping, all of that. So it is not on us if there's a creator that can't handle the back and forth. Why should we have to change the reason we're here and what we're doing because one person can't do drama? Because one person is taking everything so personal and twisting it around to be a victim and then filing multiple lawsuits against people and turning it into something that it shouldn't be. She says at one point, YouTube shouldn't be this serious. No, it shouldn't be. You're the one filing all these lawsuits. But I mean, there are people in her chat that are buying this, that go for it. There's one that was like, I don't believe you're safe. And be just like, me either. I'm not. And what happened today is making it worse. It's like someone has to be hurt before y'all are going to let up. Nobody over here is talking about anyone getting hurt. Nobody. Nobody. I do not. Where is this coming from? I don't understand. I really don't. Like, I don't get it. And then you find out the real reason behind it because every time BJ talks about the back and forth and wanting it to end, well, a few nights ago when she did this stream, she claimed that she had apologized and that people basically said, fuck your apology. When did she apologize? Because I missed it. If she's counting going on Jonesins and saying she probably should apologize, that doesn't count. No, she hasn't apologized for anything and doesn't plan on it because she doesn't think she did anything wrong because she is never accountable for anything she does. For example, this case that she started, that she initiated and then screwed it up by not following the rules and being there, but she won't even take accountability for that. It's unreal to me. But her big thing is because there's people that have made whole streams about how much money certain creators are making, which why is that anybody's business? Why? I don't go around looking up other healthcare people in my town to see how much they make compared to what I make. Like, I don't do that. Like, it's not my business what people make. I don't understand that. I'll never understand that. Why is this a thing? Why do we care? Because now this is BJ's big thing is they're making 10K a month and they're never going to stop because they're making 10K a month. That's what this is about, 10K a month. That's what it's about for BJ because that's all it's ever been for BJ. It's money. It's about money. And she is so focused on that number now because somebody put that out there that that's all she's going to talk about. And boy, you can hear the jealousy in her voice when she talks about somebody making that much money. So she's like, I'm just supposed to sit here, not speak up and defend my kids. Don't speak up about people stealing my content. Don't speak up about them sending people to your house, calling your agencies, going real life. I'm just supposed to shut up and just pray that nobody gets hurt. Who attacked your kids that you need to defend them? Look, do I agree with some of the things that were said? I know in that little video that she played with her evidence that Cletus called her kids ugly because they came from her, right? Do I agree with that? No. But also, if that were my children being talked about, would I feel the need to come on and defend them and act like they were viciously attacked? No, because I wouldn't care. I know my kids are cute as all get out. I know what my kids look like. And that's all that matters to me. Like, this person doesn't know. I don't care what they think. They're never going to see my kids. They're never going to interact with my kids. Do I care what they think? No, I don't. And I'm not going to come on here and defend it like I care about it. Because that's one of BJ's biggest problems is she can't just let things go. She has to act like everything is a deadly attack to her family when it's like an offhand comment. I have never understood why BJ feels the need to defend things so fiercely and stupid things like that. Why does it matter? Okay, so supposedly she cannot stand Cletus. He's Satan himself. She can't stand him. She's afraid of him, all of this stuff, right? Why would she care if he said her kids are ugly? Why does that hurt her so badly? Like, these are the kinds of things that tell you how insecure BJ is and how strongly she needs validation from the internet to feel good about herself and her family. Because I wouldn't give a shit who is saying my kids are ugly. I wouldn't care if it was somebody that I'm friendly with on the internet because I know my kids. I know my kids are cute. Damn it. But I know that. I don't need somebody, it's not going to influence me if somebody on here said my kids were ugly. Okay. It's just not. And I would never feel the need to come on here and because that's one of the things that she uses as her kids are attacked. Okay. That's one of the things that she uses. Her kids are attacked because somebody said they were ugly. That's not an attack. I'm sorry. Is it nice? No. But if you don't like the person, why do you care what they say? Like, your kids shouldn't be hearing it, right? They're too young to even have YouTube accounts, right? So that's rolled out. They shouldn't be hearing it. So it's not hurting them. So ignore it. That is not an attack. But she is going to repeat that until the end of time that her kids are attacked because of that. Like, pick your battles, for fuck's sake. So there's just a whole lot more crying. And she's telling, her chat, just y'all pray that nothing happens. Just pray. Ugh. I don't trust these people. They're not normal. Normal people don't say the things they say. And this has emboldened them to do what they want and think that they can do whatever. This has become a genre, and it doesn't make me feel good at all. Y'all keep saying I like this. Sob, sob, sob. Who would like this? Well, you're still here. Like, you feel like you are in such danger that you're going to the courts to get no contact orders, sending C&Ds to multiple people, filing lawsuits against people, yet you keep coming back and you keep talking about them. So what else are people supposed to believe? Oh, I just can't. I can't. Okay, so let's go to the next stream that she did that day, which she called, I think it was called Lateness. And it was like at 1 a.m. God. She starts off by, this is so funny. She's completely, oh, wait, I forgot to tell this. So it was interesting too that her mood completely changed. Like, she was crying and all of that. Well, Craig comes in like halfway through and he's like, are your sinuses bothering you? And she's like, no. And she doesn't really give a reason why she's sniffling. Well, he starts hanging around in the back and she completely changes. Like, her mood completely changes and what she's talking about completely changes. So they're sitting there and Craig is talking about like his attention span and TV shows and whatever. And BJ's not listening to him as usual. And you hear her say something, I don't remember. And he's like, what now? And so she proceeds to tell him about the next tragic thing she's received in the email. And he's over there like, they got nothing going on in life and they're ugly, because Craig thinks that him and BJ are like supermodels and everybody else is ugly and unhappy because they're ugly. So superficially vain they are. But he's like, we're over here laughing and they can't stand it after BJ just spent 30 minutes sobbing. We're happy and it just kills y'all. If that's happy, then I don't want any part of it, because y'all are filing court orders and she's sitting here crying, and that doesn't appear very happy to me, but maybe I'm different. Who knows? And then Craig says something that's really interesting. And I don't know if people caught it, because some people try to just block him out in the background, especially since he's back to calling people chomos again. But he says, I didn't realize that attorneys have niches. Like, a heart doctor only sees people with heart problems. And he said, so old boy can't do petitions talking about their attorney, which was interesting, because they can appeal this denial, which would be a petition to the court to appeal, or they can petition for a no contact order on another person, with an attorney behind them. But apparently their attorney can't do that. So they would have to get another attorney to do it. Whatever it is, there's something that they're needing to petition to a court and their attorney can't do it. Craig leaks stuff all the time in the background, and he definitely leaked that. So the next live she does is called Lateness, and it's done at 1 a.m. and she comes on in a completely different mood. She's happy. She's on camera. She comes on putting on 3 different shades of Bath & Body Works lipstick. And she's like, I love this lipstick, which is funny because a few days earlier, Clue came on talking about lipstick and somebody was wanting to know the shade of it. And that was a discussion there. So that was, the mimicking that goes on is funny to me, really funny. So then she brings out the compilation video. Now, this is a video she's been begging for months. She's been like, anybody, I'll pay you money, pay you $50 to make a video of all the horrible things that have been done to me on here. And so it finally got done. And I have a feeling this was her evidence that was on her burner phone, because this person usually makes 10 minutes or under videos. And this particular video was just clips with no alterations in the speed of the voice, no background music, no like memes or anything funny. It was straight clips with the dates on them. So I'm pretty sure this was their evidence. So look, do I think that Clue and Cletus are a little over the top with some of their comments sometimes? Yes. Would I say some of those things? Definitely not. But do any of them rise to the point of threatening? Not at all. I definitely don't agree with everything they say, but I don't agree with everything any creator says. Do I kind of cringe sometimes when they say something? Yeah, but nothing in there was the least bit threatening to her life or make her in fear for bodily injury. No, it just didn't. Did it hurt her feelings? Yeah, probably. But there's a court would not listen to that and go, "Oh yeah, you need a no contact order." That wouldn't happen. I'm sorry. And so some of the things that were on there, BJ has to stop it and talk about it, about how horrible it is, as she sits there with this mortified look on her face, like she's never heard any of this stuff before. Kills me. God, her lies just constantly. So one of them is, the picture of BJ's leg, right? And how horrible it is. She almost died from that. And how can y'all laugh at that? It's horrible. And talking about how somebody could share a picture of that and be okay with it and all of this. Well, and she says, Granny says that my leg got that way because I don't shower. And that's a bold-faced lie. Well, so was going around saying that Granny had warts. That was a bold-faced lie, a pretty gross one. So was saying that there was a picture of Granny's privates going around. All of that, is horrible. So, BJ, I kind of would thank your mods because apparently you weren't going to go to the hospital and they called a welfare check on you and you finally went in and got some antibiotics and treatment. Would you have done that if they hadn't called that welfare check? So you should be thanking them for that because that could have turned out really bad for you because you said, you were almost in a coma. So, wow. I don't know why you didn't go to the doctor when it was that serious, but okay. So let's see what else was in it. There's a clip where Clue is talking about looking up BJ's family members and Craig's family members, which is not illegal because if you listen very closely to those clips, you're going to hear Clue saying, BJ, if you don't stop, I'm going to do this, or stop talking about me, or I'm going to do this. Stop doing this, or I'm going to do this. So you don't ever hear what BJ has done to her to make her say the things that she is wanting to do. By the way, none of those are like bodily harm threats. No, it's more about looking things up. And by the way, there is a site that is free and openly accessible to anyone with just a simple search that gives you a person's any name that they've gone by, their neighbors, any address they've lived at, any email they've had, any phone number they've had for free. And just one search tells you all of that. So it's not really that big a deal to find that. Okay. And people that know how to do sleuthing into true crime cases know how to find stuff. We don't need private investigators or to pay somebody to do it illegally. These are all publicly known things that you can find. And I don't remember them handing out any information that was like this secret that was going to harm her in any way. But see, here's the thing. This is like this back and forth thing, right? Because I know BJ's going to say, I don't go real life. I don't dox anyone. But BJ promoted numerous times, the channel that has the docs of pretty much everybody, includes family, including her child on it. So you have a right to know who you're dealing with when people are fucking with your real life. So, and like I said, it was always in response to something that BJ was doing. It just wasn't added into this compilation video. And for anybody that's going to say, well, your video didn't show context talking about all of this stuff with Clue's ex, there didn't need to be context. There was in no way, shape, or form was any of that okay to talk about or say. It didn't matter what came before it, what came after it. What was said was unacceptable, period. And I'll stand behind that. So, and BJ talks about, people aren't like this in my real life. They don't make fun of kids. Like, there's nobody in my real life that acts like this. Are there even people in your real life? Do you interact with people outside of your home ever? Besides like saying hi to a teacher as you drop the kids off in pickup line? Are you ever interacting with people? Just a question. I don't know. And then, talking about the whole leg picture, and she says, this is evidence of how desensitized this community is to everything, that we think this is okay. No, I'll tell you what shows how desensitized this community is whenever we're weaponizing traumas, whenever you're talking about the murder of a child and reading their obituary and you're falling asleep while reading it, or you're showing a clip of the discovery of a deceased child and you're falling asleep during that. That's how desensitized this place is. So a comment's made in our chat that says, free speech isn't getting a pic from someone and trying to humiliate them with it. It's also not saying that there's a picture of someone's butt going around and knowing that it's a lie, but still spreading it around. That's not right either. That's not only a lie, but that was spread around to try to humiliate someone by BJ. And it's really just so cringe watching this video and BJ pausing it, acting like she hasn't heard this stuff before and going, I don't watch them. I don't watch them. Whenever I specifically remember her speaking about this stuff before, and now she's acting like she hadn't heard it before, give me a break. So then, in the video comes the picture of BJ's house being shown by Brandywine on X. And I'm just going to say again that there were people that spoke out against that, one of those being Granny. And BJ herself shared that link in her chat. Whenever Brandywine posted that picture with no identifying information with it, just a picture of a house, she had like 70 subs on X. Well, BJ went live, brought attention to it, had her mods drop the link to that post on X over and over again. And I think by the end of that stream of BJ's, she already had 300 subs. And it went up from there. BJ herself claimed the docs and dropped the link over and over again. What's the excuse for that? Can anybody tell me? Because nobody would have known whose house that was. A lot of people would never have seen it because she did not have many subs. BJ self-promoted that and then wants to bitch about it. It's unreal. And there were people that spoke out against it, definitely. So whatever. And then the whole dark horse situation comes up in the video. And BJ acts like she didn't know that Dark Horse was emailing people when she did, because this was all discussed back when it happened. Yes, Dark Horse emailed Granny. Dark Horse emailed Clue. Dark Horse emailed Nonsense Dump. Dark Horse emailed Queen Bee. She was sending information to all of those creators because she was trying to prove that she was in the witness protection program. She was trying to say that your cops, BJ, had doxed out her information and that she was in the witness protection program. And she was upset about it. And she was sending emails to all these creators trying to prove that to them. Does that mean that they spoke back to her? Does that mean that they kept engaging in conversation with her? Does that mean they talked to her on the phone, messaged with her? No, it does not. And they didn't. People realized pretty quickly what was going on there and didn't engage with it. So you acting like you're suddenly discovering that people were having interactions with Dark Horse is bullshit. It is. And the whole time she's playing this video, she's like, I'm going to take the higher ground. I'm not going to talk bad about these people. I'm taking the higher ground as she plays the video from the people that she just tried to get a no contact order on. You can't make this shit up. You really can't. Let's see what else was on there. And again, you hear Clue saying these things in this video, but you hear her also saying, BJ, stop doing this, or I'm going to do this. Or BJ, if you keep doing this, I'm going to do this. It's obvious that it's a reaction to something that BJ is doing. And then something comes up where Clue is talking about not believing Nana's husband passed. So, and BJ's like, and they want to talk good about Clue. Look at what she was doing. She was questioning Nana's husband, and now Nana sits over there. Well, look, I don't know if people remember this, but a few days before Nana's husband actually passed, there was a rumor that went around. I remember being in Queen Bee's chat, and someone came in and announced that, and Queen didn't run with it. And a few minutes later, someone came in and said, that's wrong. He didn't pass. That's, not good information. So whenever it happened a few days after that, did people question it at first? Yeah, some people did. And that's their right. Here's the difference, BJ. You're claiming that people are saying that you treated Nana bad, but here Clue is questioning her. Well, at the time, Clue had no loyalty to Nana. Okay, they had actually been enemies. BJ, however, had loyalty to Nana. She knew that Nana even thought of her like a daughter, and she still treated her like shit. So there's your difference there, okay? Clue didn't have loyalty to Nana. BJ did, and that's how she treated her. That's the point there. I know she misses a lot of points, but that was the point there. And then, let's say, also, if someone did hire a private investigator, it's not illegal. It's not stalking either. People can do that. We've been in a community where that was done before, BJ, so you should know that. And again, she does this thing this is a sheer definition of cyber stalking. This is aggravated stalking. All of these things that are statements she's making that are not factual. And then she says, BJ's listening to Clue and Cletus, and I have no words for these sexual remarks. They're just disgusting. Meanwhile, you have Craig in the background talking about 8 inches of, talking about all kinds of things, talking about shaving, talking about just all kinds of stuff. I don't I'm not comfortable talking about this stuff, so I'm not going to repeat all of it, but Craig has said equally, if not worse, sexual things in the background, and he has said them while a deceased child is being discussed or a natural disaster is being discussed. So don't act like you're this virgin ears that's never heard anything like that, because it's in your house all the time. And then she's like, after playing some of the videos, she says, put a 1 in chat if you would file for an RO against this person. And somebody says they would request an arrest warrant. For what? What exactly are you arresting them for? Like, y'all are accusing people of crimes that there's no crime. Like, how many times has BJ reported these people to the police? And if she's not, then she's lying. But supposedly, she's made numerous reports about them to the police. No charges have yet to be filed, yet y'all seem to think they're doing criminal things all the time. Make it make sense. And then at some point, there is where Clue references BJ's DV. And BJ, of course, gets upset and is like, here she is talking about a very personal and private thing that happened to me. And are y'all okay with this? Do you not think that the SA of a minor and the situation surrounding that, with it being someone she was married to, do you not think that that is a very personal and private situation for them that she probably didn't want discussed? That you brought here before Granny and Jay did? I mean, I don't agree with talking about DV. I mean, you can't it's the whole rules for thee, but not for me situation. I mean, you can't do that kind of thing and then expect nothing in return. You should know that. In drama on YouTube, every action has an opposite and equal reaction, always. And you take the reaction as an attack, always. You also talk about, and I don't know, look, I haven't discussed BJ's essay, don't want to know about it, none of that. And so she's commenting and saying, my essay, that is nobody's business. Well, you put it on a public platform, BJ, just like every other detail about your life. Once you put it on a public platform, it is open for discussion by anyone that wants to. So yeah, your essay isn't anybody's business, but unfortunately, you put it on here. Like, that's what happens. Oh, and then, so she references a song that Cletus made, and in it, I think there's reference to like calling her fat and sweaty, which if you watch one of my shorts recently, BJ is literally using a pig call to call Clue. So and she is always saying that Clue is sweaty. So, and then she says that Cletus is calling her a ditch pig. And she's like, well, so I looked that up and it means a white trash, like gross person. You have called Clue and Cletus white trash multiple times. Like, I don't get it with her. She literally embodies the rules for thee, but not for me. Because everything she says that disgusts her about Clue and Cletus, she has done. And she did it before they did it. Like, I can't understand it. I really can't wrap my brain around it. It's just like, you've already done this, but yet you're going to sit here, act like you didn't do it, and act like you're completely disgusted hearing Clue do it. It doesn't make any sense. And on the comment where Cletus said something about her kids being ugly because they came from her, right after that, he says, I got to go take a walk, which tells me that Cletus was very upset about something. And this is in that clip compilation. So we don't know what BJ had done or said to them to bring that about, but Cletus doesn't get that angry usually. So for him to say that and then say, I got to go get out of here and take a walk to cool off, something bad happened to get him there. But we don't know because that wasn't in there. So, and, BJ just keeps referencing about multiple creators making thousands a month, and money is the motive for what they're doing. And people are making $600 a live stream. And then there's a sub that makes a comment that they're making thousands of dollars a day. What? That's the problem with looking up these sites that supposedly show how much people are making. Like, who's making thousands of dollars a day? I do not believe that for 1 minute. I'm sorry, I just don't. And if money is everyone's motive, why are you so scared of what people are going to do? Because if people are just coming on here attacking you because they want money from it, why are you scared of them? Because they wouldn't want to spend money to come to your house to do anything to you. They wouldn't want to spend money to have someone come do something. If they're so concerned about money, what are you scared of? Just a thought. I mean, she talks about, go look at my content. I go long stretches without even talking about them. Are you fucking kidding me? You hide them. BJ, you hide them or delete them as soon as they happen. And like I've said before, she streams every day. So go look at her content. Anytime there's a gap between days, she has hidden or deleted something, which means she's gone after somebody. She's attacked somebody and she's hidden it. So anytime you want to see how often she's going at people, look at the dates on her videos. Because normally, even it's 2 times a day. Normally, it's either twice on the main channel or 1 on the drama channel, 1 on the main channel. But it's always at least 1 stream a day, always, even when she's deathly ill. So go look at her channel. Don't believe that there's gaps of her not talking about people, because if there's a gap in her videos, they're hidden. And the ones that are up, there's somewhere in it, she's gone at somebody. I would almost put money on it. Oh, I hate that crap when she's like, I look at my content, it's true crime or it's defending myself. No, it's not. You just hide the shit. Never seen anybody just flat lie like that. And then she makes a comment about other creators have kids that are allowed in their chats, and it's okay, but not me. I'm not allowed to. I have to make sure my kids are tucked in bed and not in the room with me before I go live. So sometimes I'm late because I'm tucking them in. Bullshit. I call bullshit. You're late because you're watching other people's streams to figure out what they're saying because you have FOMO so bad you can't stand it. Or you want to go live and play victim from what they're saying, one or the other. And the other creators have children that are adults, because I know who you're talking about, and that would be Clue's daughter. And she is an adult. She is in college. So did she come in the chat the other day? Yeah. Is it very often she's in the chat? No. But yeah, she was in there. She's an adult. She can do that, okay? Your children are 10 and 11. They shouldn't be in your chat. And if that's what you're referring to, because people have mentioned that they have gone in your chat and trolled you because they're 10 and 11 and you're discussing true crime or drama, and you said that your friends can't have their kids in chat, who exactly are you talking about? Like, I don't know who's on your side besides Lemon, and I don't think he has kids that are with him, and I don't even know who else. So I'm not sure who you're talking about, but I don't know that anybody has stopped anybody from having their kids on here and like attacked them because they were in a chat. Okay, I've covered like so much stuff. So let me kind of recap some of the most important things, are that the whole no contact order thing didn't make sense. Her story didn't make sense for everything from what she claims that the judge told her about having an attorney get involved and look over and modify things. Like, a judge isn't going to give that advice, to her not knowing what the court dates were, not being notified about the time that she arrived to court that day, about her attorney not having time to modify it. None of it makes sense. And I just hope she will leave that alone, not appeal it, not refile it. I just wish she would drop it, because a no contact order is not going to do anything for her. It's just not. I don't know of anybody that has talked about anything that puts her at danger besides herself. She is the one that is constantly bringing that up, putting it into the atmosphere, and her chat is supporting it. Nowhere else do I hear that. And then all of the things that she has said and done that are the entire rules for thee, not for me, everything she does kind of fits into that category. She finally got her compilation video, and what it shows is Clue responding to a bunch of things she's done by saying, if you do that, I'm going to do this, or you keep doing this, I'm going to do this. Were there things said that I don't agree with? Yes. Did any of them rise to the level of being illegal or threatening? No, it didn't. One of VJ's biggest things is that people are making more money than her. She has got to make changes on her channel if she expects it to rebound and grow. You can't have Craig in the background doing and saying the things he's doing. You can't fall asleep during review of cases or review of current true crime events. You have to be involved and participate and have some conversation, make it interesting for people, or you're not going to have anybody show up. And what else? I have got more videos coming out soon, and it may be a while before I do another one of these, but I appreciate everybody so much for all the kind comments and kind words. And I hope that everyone has a good rest of your week. And that's it from me. I'll talk to y'all later.